All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Either say aye or wave your hand, which is perfect. All right, thank you all. Any new or unfinished business to bring forth to this committee?
Not for the CRC.
All right. Any executive session, we'll defer that to the next meeting. So can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Aye, Tom.
Thank you. We don't need a second. All in favor, either say aye or wave your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Morning, Josh. The meeting is adjourned. We will now move into the IDA board meeting. We'll go right into the roll call. Megan?
Jeff Joyner.
Here.
Dave Rowley.
Here.
Jeff Lord.
Here.
Craig Wilson.
Here.
Summer Mayo.
Here.
Patricia Kennedy.
Here.
Cheryl Robinson.
Here.
Andrew Marietta.
Here.
Josh Edmonds.
Here.
All right. Great. In the interest of time, I will defer my remarks. I do have some things I do want to bring to the group and talk about, but I'll defer that to later in the meeting. We'll go right in, and part of today we have Vibrant Brands. We're going to get a campaign update, and Christopher is here with us this morning, so good morning.
No, actually, Christopher's not here with us. I think he might come to our February 2nd meeting. I'm sorry. I should have taken that off the agenda. We did have a meeting with Paper Cut yesterday, and Christopher, I sent you guys the report. He did say we have some ideas about moving forward with the campaign, so I can have him come on the projects meeting on Tuesday. So I figured since we have a meeting in 4 or 5 days that we wouldn't go into all of the projects since we're just going to do it again. And so.
Thank you. All right, that's fine. All right, we'll go right into the approval of the meeting minutes from December 17th, 2020. Any additions, changes, corrections to those minutes? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion, Dave Rowley.
Thank you, Dave. Can I get a second?
Second, Tricia.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye or wave your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Good. Any opposed? All right, we'll move right down to the report of the Audit and Finance Committee.
Yes, the Audit and Finance Committee would defer to the minutes that are provided to everyone, and let that serve as the update.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Any questions, comments? If not, can we get a motion to approve the report of the Audit and Finance Committee?
So move, Cheryl.
Tom.
Thank you, Cheryl, and thank you, Tom, as the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? All right, we'll go right into bills and communications. Megan? You're on mute.
I was pulling it up. All of them are standard operating. We did get our first drawdown request for the county's micro enterprise grant. So I did because it was just a pass through, the county was originally supposed to just pay out those businesses. So that's about $45,000. So it actually had to come to our agency from the county. So I just paid those out already since we are just a pass through for that. But other than that, all the operating expenses are normal for this month.
All right, any questions for Megan regarding bills and communications from the committee?
Megan, just a minor housekeeping on the check spreadsheet that you provide.
Mm-hmm.
I think the final total should say with reimbursement.
Should say what? I'm sorry.
Not without, should say with reimbursement.
Okay. I got it.
All right. We'll make that change and correction. All right, we'll move right into the report of the projects committee.
We'll also defer to the notes. I do want to just remind everybody, if you haven't already had a chance to read the notes, to do so and provide Jody with any feedback regarding the priority projects for 2021.
Thank you. I have somebody on, all right. Anyone else hearing that really loud noise, or is it just me? All right.
No, I'm in it. Yeah.
Okay. So, any other questions regarding the projects committee for Cheryl? If not, can we get a motion to approve the projects committee
Make a
report?
motion.
Thank you, Jeff. Can I get a second?
I'll second it, Dave Rowley.
Thank you, Dave. All in favor, say aye or wave your hands.
Aye.
Good.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We'll move into new and unfinished business. Jody, the floor is yours.
Okay, we submitted a resolution for increasing contributions for healthcare coverage for our Director of Finance and Administration. We'd like to actually move on that and then table it because there is some indication that Megan will get dropped back down to her original coverage.
Okay. So any further comments or discussions? I know we've talked about this before. If not, can we get a motion to approve?
I have a question. I'm wondering why we need to have a resolution for it.
The reason we have to have a resolution for it is that if in fact we do approve this, it has to be sent to our PAYCO for verification that the board actually approved the increase.
Okay. Seems more like it's just a management function that you just deal with, but if
Yeah,
that's
I think the
Does it
details
like
in the
the
resolution. I
council?
think the details in the resolution are a little over. They need to see what the details in that resolution are really the key. I mean, we're just moving money, aren't we? On a budget, it's a budgetary thing.
Right, but PAYCO, who issues our checks and handles our billing, our accounting for our payroll, will want to see some type of verification that the board actually approved this, as opposed for me just saying, yeah, we're just going to change her healthcare coverage.
Interesting.
In other words, they're not going to move forward without some evidence that we've approved it.
Right.
okay. All right. Any other questions?
Doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
So, all right. Can we get a approval? A motion to approve, excuse me.
I'll make the motion, Dave Rowley.
Thank you, Dave.
I'll
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Thank you, Andrew. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? All right, motion passes. Next item, Jody.
We received notice from Empire State Development earlier this week that they are withholding 20% of any drawdown requests, reimbursement requests. Now, I went through our budget, and originally I thought that was going to have a fiscal impact because we have 2 reimbursements coming in this year. It turns out that when I budgeted it, out of the $180,000 we're expecting in reimbursements, I only budgeted for $130,000, anticipating that the state was going to renege on some of it. So it actually has no major fiscal consequences to us right now. They do not know when the remaining 20% will be released, but that's part of the governor's plan to try to reduce the deficit. So I just thought I'd keep everybody aware of that.
So Jody, that's an indefinite hold, and we don't have a trigger point that tells us when it will be released at this point. It's just indefinite.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I attended a Zoom meeting with the New York State Conference of County Officials on the governor's proposed budget earlier this week, and it appears that they're banking on a lot of federal aid coming in to reduce the deficit. So I'm not quite sure how realistic their proposed budget is at this point in time. They're also recommending roughly 15 to 20% general cuts in aid to localities, school districts. And there is some plan to readjust that, but right now the state budget is pretty bleak. They actually have budgeted monies for another CFA round, consolidated funding application for this coming year. And I doubt that they can go ahead with that given the fiscal circumstances. But the next project we have on here is Corning. Originally, I was just going to update you that we received a preliminary application from them. Turns out late yesterday, I got a call from the person I deal with at Corning asking if we could get a sales tax exemption to them ASAP. Basically, what has happened is that this is phase 3 of the Corning projects. The first one was roughly a $12 million expansion. Then there was the solar farm, another $1.2 million. And this is almost a $20 million project, $19.98 million. It includes the expansion of roughly 13,000 square feet addition. And it turns out that their fiscal department and their local government department and their construction department and their purchasing department to each other. And it turns out that the purchasing department apparently wants to order a piece of equipment ASAP because of the deal that they can get on it. And they were looking for the sales tax exemption. Just on that piece of equipment alone, the sales tax exemption would be about, I think it's $44,000. And they're saying those little things make a big difference on their budget. I reached out to Joe Scott yesterday, late in the day. We had a conference call with Dawn at Corning. And that's the reason Chris Canada is here today representing Joe Scott's firm to talk about the 2 resolutions that we received early this morning from Joe. And basically what we're looking at doing is doing a public hearing, setting a public hearing on the project, as well as an agent resolution for Corning, allow them to do up to, I think it's, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, $99,000 in sales assumptions. We can do that without holding the public hearing yet if we're under $100,000. So this initial resolution would approve it up to $99,000 in sales tax exemptions. We'd schedule a public hearing for sometime in February, come back to the board once we have the full application, and actually go through the normal process then. So Chris, if you want to jump in, I'd be happy to.
Thanks, Tony. You summed up very well. So the first resolution is the standard one you folks see all the time to hold the public hearing. The agent resolution is a little unique, but as you said, it authorizes the IDA to provide sales tax exemption up to $99,000 before the public hearing is even held and the approving resolution is adopted by the IDA. So a little unusual, but it is authorized.
And again, I'm sorry that this came so late. It's just that Corning reached me around 4:30 yesterday, 4 o'clock yesterday. I wasn't able. Joe was in a conference call and wasn't able to talk to him until a little before 5. When we then had a conference call with Corning about this, and wasn't sure that Joe last night would be able to get these 2 resolutions done. So given the magnitude of the project, roughly a $20 million project, we'd like to encourage them to continue. We are working on a phase 4, which we had briefly discussed a while back in executive session, which could be a much larger project. So we'd like to keep them growing in Oneonta.
So what's driving this? Is they're trying to buy a piece of equipment? Is that what you said, Jody?
Yes, they want to buy just one piece of equipment. Apparently, they have a deal on it that if they can order it by the end of today, I think it is, they would save roughly, well, they would save a tremendous amount of money on just the purchase of the piece of equipment, but they're looking for the sales tax exemption for another exemption of about $44,000 in sales tax.
My question is why? Sorry. Why is the sales tax exemption at Otsego County and not at a corporate? Does that make a difference? Why not in Steuben County, wherever they are? Is the equipment just because it's here?
Yes.
Okay.
So they-
Corning has a really interesting operation. What they do is each plant has their own budget. And while they have people at a corporate level who actually order the stuff, the payments come out of the Oneonta plant budget.
I don't get my payments from them out of it. That's why I asked that, out of the Oneonta plant. That's the business I do with them. That's why I was asking that question. Because it's a lot for a little county like ours, including Steuben. It's a lot, for a county like ours. So I mean, they deserve it, but if we can pass it off to another county, it would be much easier, much better for us. So I would just ask that question. This is interesting. So Tom, when you sell a car to somebody from Binghamton, sales tax is here?
Binghamton.
Correct.
But I don't understand, Craig, what do we get? What's the county giving up? They're not going to pay the sales tax one way or another. What difference does it make what county doesn't charge them sales tax?
Well, it's local. It goes locally.
Yeah,
that money gets put up locally.
If they get it out of Western New York, we still don't get anything. So I don't understand we're not losing anything, right? Either way, the county doesn't get the sales tax. It's part of New York state law. So I don't understand why there's a.
I guess in that respect, you're correct. That's a good point. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're looking to buy a piece of equipment. Supposedly the fixed price is still going to be $550,000 on top of that. So it's a question.
But we have to vote on it locally, though, Tom, and that's the bigger picture. And people, believe me, when I was at the county, it was a lot of questions of, us as other companies and locally that buy equipment, you buy equipment, I buy equipment, and we pay the sales tax, and people question that are in the know of what happens, So, our name's on this vote, so that's really the bigger picture.
Yeah,
my bigger picture is New York State wrote the law. They set it out. It's not our game. We didn't make the rules. We're just playing by the rules that are out there.
Tom, I'm not.
So that's easy to deflect anybody that's questioning it.
I have a question, and it may stem from I haven't been on here as long and don't fully understand exactly how everything works. But I guess usually, like when you do a pilot agreement or something like that, and there's a sales, there's a tax incentive, they're transferring something back in the realm of they're creating jobs or something like that. Is Corning doing that as part of their phase 4, but that's not ready yet, and they're trying to purchase ahead of that? And so this is really just like I don't know, accelerated version of that part of the process, or is this something?
Their application had 3 new jobs listed.
Right. With this occasion, they're looking at 5 new jobs.
Or 5, sorry, I meant 5.
On the phase 4 expansion, which is what we're trying to make sure comes here, there's substantially more jobs associated with that.
So I guess, so we're essentially just like prepaying for stage 4 in this little motion in one sense.
Hoping we're laying the groundwork for phase 4. That they'll continue to invest in this community and in this plant. They see that there's opportunity for growth.
Okay. I felt like usually sales tax exemption or some kind of tax exemption was tied pretty heavily to a project. It seems like this one is sort of disconnected from a project. I know they're doing projects, and I didn't know if it needed to be connected to usually they have to do something on their end in order to get the exemption. And this one seems like it's a free exemption. I don't have a problem with it, but I wonder what precedent it sets for other businesses if they're looking to purchase equipment and want a sales tax break.
Okay, as I indicated earlier, and I believe it's in the one resolution. Along with the project, and I see the draft application, which breaks down the estimated cost of this, of how much is for equipment, how much is for building expansion. They're looking at adding on about 13,500 square feet to their existing plant here. So there is a building addition associated with it. The bulk of the money, though, is going to upgrading all of their equipment in their plant to accommodate future growth. The $12 million project that they did two years ago, that was really for a plant upgrade. It was all for all new electric systems, all new mechanical systems, all new heating and ventilation systems. It was really taking a plant that was 50 years old and bringing up all their systems to a current state-of-the-art facility. Now what they're doing is they're adding tremendous amount of new equipment to it so they can be much more into the 21st century production lines. And then ultimately the phase 4, which we're hoping to attract here, would be a completely new line of products.
Yeah, I think and I'm feeling what Josh is saying a bit here too, is that the reason for us to approve this is really because it's tied to something greater, which will have job creation. And so by separating it and not really noting that in the resolution that I can read quickly as I browse through it, are we setting a precedent, right? So because there's no consequences if that project doesn't continue, and now we've given the sales tax exemption.
Cheryl said it better. That's what I was trying to say.
I'm just wondering though, like I think about Cooperstown Distillery and the grant money that Jody applied for. It was tied to how many jobs was that? 7 or 8 jobs. I mean, this application, at least when I look through it, I mean, they listed 5 new jobs. Isn't that enough qualification for us to?
But I mean, this is not for that, right? So those are 2 separate things.
No, I understand the grant that New York State, whatever the funding source was for that funding that the Cooperstown Distillery pursued, and Jody's wrapping up that project. But I still, I mean, I guess from my perspective, there are 5 new jobs tied to project investment. So I would see that, it seems like it has an actual qualifier, like there's an actual impact tied to the investment, not just a new equipment.
Well,
I think there is, but right, the idea is it's not in this resolution we're doing right now, right? So
sorry, okay.
Yeah.
So we should reflect what's in the application in the resolution. Okay, got it.
I don't want to interrupt you folks, and I'm jumping in here for Joe. The resolution talks about this being part of a project that's in addition to an existing facility. Isn't that the new project that's going down the road that was in the application? I guess I'm having a disconnect here. I thought this was just, they're providing the sales tax exemption a little early, but it's still part of the normal process, a normal project coming down the road that would have the usual financial assistance from the IDA. Am I wrong on that, Jody?
So I guess what happens if they don't do the project?
Then we can recapture the sales tax.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for.
That's the answer we're looking for. Exactly.
And
All
also,
right.
Craig, did
Go ahead,
you
Jay.
Morning, Bill.
hear that?
in their application, and the state controller has agreed with this in the past, they also, because of the new equipment that they're purchasing, they're going to retain 179 existing positions. So without that new equipment, they would have to transfer some of those people to another facility that are going to be making the vital products that they do.
So moved.
I'll second Craig's motion.
All right, excellent. Any other additional discussion before we vote? All right. Can I, all in favor of the motion on the floor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Any
Does this need a roll
opposed?
call vote?
That,
This needs
Does
a
it,
roll call
Megan?
vote?
Yes, Cheryl.
are we
You
using
see a
the
roll
roll
Okay.
for both resolutions?
Sorry.
Jeff Joyner,
Yay.
David Rowley,
Nay.
said nay.
Just 1 minute. Tom, yes.
Hold on. Dave, did you say nay?
No, I said yes.
Oh, okay.
Approved.
I heard, okay. Jeff Lord,
Yes.
Craig Galveston,
Yes.
Tom Armeo,
Yes.
Patricia Kennedy,
Yes.
Cheryl Robinson,
Yes.
Andrew Marietta,
Yes.
Josh Edmonds.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. The motion passes. The resolution passes, excuse me. We'll now move into the public comment period.
Jeff, could I bring up a piece of new business?
Sure.
I know Megan had a conversation with Harry Levine. Andrew and I were on a committee meeting that we discussed this. It was about the grant program to small businesses that we're having a hard time getting off the ground, to the extent that 65 or 70% of the money is still available, 25 from the Community Foundation, 25 from IDA. And our discussion was around expanding that to include the fact that businesses could apply for working capital grants, as opposed to what we were focused on before with PPE. There's been a reach out to Richfield Springs and other areas of the county. So our discussion really centers around the fact, can we make that move? Can we change the criteria? And should we not increase the grants to $2,000 to be much more meaningful to small businesses? I think we should have enough money in there to grant 17 $2,000 grants if we so choose. But we're just sitting on that money. It's not helping anybody at this particular point in time. It's allowable under the Community Foundation's criteria, for the $25,000 that they sent to IDA. So just a point.
They actually didn't send it to the IDA. We did. I just want to make sure we have the.
Oh, that's right. Excuse me.
The track. The way that money came, the Cooperstown Foundation applied for it. So technically, Cooperstown Foundation is responsible for it, and then forwarded basically is providing those funds to the IDA.
Right. We're administering the grants
on behalf.
Right. Cooperstown Foundation is the flow through for money from the Community Foundation, basically. So
I would also ask about opening it up to Oneonta businesses, since previously we didn't have it open to Oneonta businesses.
I think not that all businesses should benefit, but the city of Oneonta already did do a working capital grant round, and the rest of Otsego County businesses haven't had that opportunity. That was closed, so I do think it would be best to prioritize everyone outside of the city of Oneonta at this point. Edmiston, Richfield Springs, Milford. I mean, there are a number of businesses. Unadilla, Otsego, Morris. I mean, I think there's a lot of other businesses that could definitely benefit from the working capital. And again, 17 grants, I think, would go very quickly. I mean, I don't disagree with David at all. I just wonder if it should be more like 1,000, so we could double the amount of small grants. But I'm open to whatever the suggestion is.
I say we keep the same amount and see what we get from the outskirts.
Keep 500.
Yeah, keep the 500. Exactly what you offered everybody else, so it stays the same for the time being, and see how many applications you get. And then if we don't use it enough, maybe people can reapply for a certain amount if they truly need it.
But working capital, right, Craig? That's what you mean?
Whatever it is, whatever the grant was for, right? So if you want to move it not to the city of Oneonta, but everywhere else that you mentioned, but I don't think you should increase it for those people until they go through the first round, just to make it fair across the board to whoever else it went to in the county. That's just my opinion.
I would just clarify that it was restricted pretty much to PPE.
Right.
And one of the issues is that many of these small businesses have long ago purchased their, that PPE, and they were not in a position really to use the $500, and that's why we're suggesting that we expand it to working capital and not just PPE.
And that's fine. I guess just the amount should stay the same.
Yeah, I could go either way. I think it's not a bad idea to do 500, and if you allow a second application, if there's still left over.
Yeah, I think the biggest change is to get it off of PPE and get it to working capital, because from what I've seen, yeah, everyone has their PPE and they've got money they need to spend on other things.
So what's the motion? Is there a motion?
I would make the motion that we change the criteria for the grants to include working capital.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we got a first and a second on the motion on the floor.
And you're expanding you're expanding the where to, I guess?
There's no expansion, Craig.
Oh,
It was already eligible for anybody in the
Okay,
capital.
sorry. Thank you.
Okay. Any other additional questions regarding the motion that's on the floor? All right, we'll move to vote. All in favor of the motion on the floor, say aye.
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 Wave hands. Thank you. Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. Thank you. Any other new or unfinished business to be brought forth today?
Jeff, just a point of clarification on the Corning vote. Was that vote for both resolutions?
Yes, it was. We're being efficient, Kurt. We combined them. Any other comments before we move into the public comment period? All right. Now we will open up public comment period. Anybody from the public who would like to address the committee? Seeing none, can we get a motion to go into executive session? There is a link that Megan just sent to all of us. So once we have a motion and a second, we'll move into executive session.
I'll make that motion, Dave Rowley.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Josh. Second. All in favor? You going to say something, Jody?
Yeah, just say that there probably will not be a vote after executive session.
Correct.
Reopen the public hearing, public meeting.
Can you just give the reason? So Megan, can you give the one reason why we're for this purpose of the executive session so we have it?
To discuss personnel issues.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg. All right. Anything else before we adjourn into executive session? All right. See you all soon. Thank you.